Blessed love, blessed love, blessed love. Welcome to Natural Health and Fitness, Organic Fitness. I'm here to discuss a little PSA, a public service announcement. There are so many people demonizing sugar, and sugar is essential. Sugar is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are one of the essential nutrients we need. Out of the calorie-containing nutrients we need, carbohydrate is one, fat is another, and protein is another. The other three nutrients we need are non-caloric, meaning they do not produce fuel or energy. They are vitamins, minerals, and water. So out of those three, carb, fat, and protein, most organizations that study nutrition study hundreds of thousands of people over tens of years. The founding of nutrition is relatively new. Within the past 100 years is the advent of naming and isolating vitamins. In 1926 was the first isolated vitamin, B1. And the history of nutrition is amazing, how important these vitamins are, how sick we've gotten without these vitamins. And they still are so important, as we can see diabetes plaguing our nation. And they even call diabetes sugar in Jamaica, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, because the word sugar is synonymous with refined sugar. Yet that causes problems because sugars are naturally in fruits like apples and oranges. And when we limit our sugars by demonizing sugar, and then we start to limit fruit and even vegetables, it could be very problematic. Most people that are cutting sugars do not know that sugars are in every plant, and plants are so essential. A head of romaine lettuce, for instance, has 7 grams of sugar. Every time we get a few grams of fiber, we're going to get some grams of sugar in a vegetable. Every time we get a few grams of sugar, we're going to get some grams of fiber in a fruit. Fiber helps to slow the absorption of sugar, meaning when sugar goes into the cell, sugar is always in our bloodstream as glucose, and it's in our muscles and liver as glycogen. And we are constantly storing it as glycogen and then turning it into glucose, and then taking glucose and putting glucose into the cell. And every cell needs this glucose. Every cell's number one choice for energy is glucose. In our brain, we need 90 grams of glucose. Our body needs at least 140 grams of glucose, or we're in carbohydrate deprivation. We produce ketones. These ketones are different than the healthy, I would say, ketones that are produced from fasting. When we deprive ourselves of carbohydrates and produce ketones, this is actually a warning sign for diabetes. Producing ketones is a warning sign for diabetes, according to the American Diabetic Association. Also, if you check their website, you can see that they will say to eat as much fruit as you care for as a diabetic. Of course, we have to monitor the calories in versus calories out and our basal metabolic rate. Anything above our basal metabolic rate, meaning calories needed per day for the individual, if we eat anything in excess of that, it will turn to be stored as fat, whether it's a carbohydrate, a fat, or a protein. I often hear people look when they're eating food to say, make sure it has a protein. And this is really detrimental to our nutrition as a culture. It is detrimental. We, instead of choosing a protein, can easily choose a whole food. Even if you're searching for a protein, it should still be a whole food. We don't want to refine a protein to make it a protein powder. We want to have the protein in its whole form. When we have a nut or a seed, we want to have the protein in its whole form, not roasted or salt on top of it to change its form for the healthiest way to get that in. Now, there are ways of processing that actually could help combat anti-nutrients, such as soaking our nuts and a slight fermentation or bringing life into it. And there are different ways of processing grains that could actually inhibit these nutrient inhibitors, also in beans. For the most part, we are still having whole foods. We're not adding in condiments like salt when we're doing these natural ferments to at least to a much higher level. Some cases, we do add a little bit of salt for sure. Some recipes call for higher amounts of salt. The point is how important it is to include carbohydrates in our diet, because virtually carbohydrates are plants, carbon and hydrogen. Carbon, what we're made of, and hydrogen or hydro water. We are eating so much water when we have these whole foods. The main part of a fruit and a vegetable is water and fiber. A fruit certainly has a bit more sugar than a vegetable and a lot of other foods. Grains, it has similar amount of carbohydrates though. And even vegetables are over 50% carbohydrate for the most part, like cauliflower and zucchini are over 70% carbohydrate. In fact, carbohydrates are essential. A lot of the carbohydrates we're getting from fruit and vegetables is fiber. And when we eat over 10 servings of fruit every day, then we're going to get a decent, appropriate amount of fiber, because we're going to get 2 to 5 grams every piece of fruit. So we can get at least 20 grams of fiber, hopefully 30 to 40 as recommended. When we eat 20 to 30 servings of fruit and vegetable, then we're easily getting over 40 grams, closer to 100 grams of fiber, which is documented for a lot of centurions and traditional Asian diet, or Japanese diet, which is shown to be super healthful. A lot of other things that happen to occur with centurions and extremely healthy people is farming and giving thanks. There are many other contributions towards health than just food. So there's a lot to speak upon, but I just wanted to really put that out there, that it's not just about food. The important part about this video, though, is fruit. Thanks for watching. Hope you tuned in for the whole thing. Please leave any comments. Sign up over at OG Fit if you want any personal instruction. Offering right now, 2019, it is 13th of June. We are offering a free video, personal training, and health education session. And you could continue if you'd like for a fee. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a blessed day.